Great video intro. Greetings and welcome aboard the Heavy Metal Truckers, where we give our honest thoughts and perspectives on all things heavy. We're your hosts. Wow, managed that one. In this video, we are checking out what the fuck. We are giving our review on the latest album from Alter Bridge called Alter Bridge.
Alter Bridge. Yeah, it's self-titled.
Yeah, self-titled. They've had a lot of albums, and yet they just now did a self-titled one. I mean, I know Lamb of God did that pretty late in their career as well, but I don't know many groups that
There's
do
a couple bands that have done it. But yeah, no, it's not. Usually bands do it with their first one, not down the road, but there are a handful that have.
I mean, at that
Bullet's
point...
last album was self-titled as well.
At that point, did they... Bullet for My Valentine's?
Oh,
yeah.
At that point, I kind of wonder if they kind of go, guys, what the fuck are we gonna name this? And so they're all just coming up with ideas, and they're like, I can't decide. Just throw the band name on it.
I've always thought it was lazy naming, but you know, hey, it's up to.
I know.
Nightwish has never had a self-titled album. I mean, that could change down the road, but
watch their next one is
point,
gonna be self-titled.
Yeah, probably.
All right. So anyway, the discussion of Alter Bridge.
So I discovered Alter Bridge when they started, when Creed fell apart and everything, and because it's basically Creed but with Miles Kennedy.
Yep.
Yeah, instead of Scott Stapp. Yeah.
Dude would have laid off the ropes. It might not have this issue.
Well, Creed's back together, so who knows? Why are you looking like that?
Creed's back together
because he didn't know.
Yeah, they got back together like a year and a half ago. They even did a whole big tour, and
this is news to me, dude.
Put a new song out and everything. Yeah.
Do we even cover it?
I don't remember because it's like I said, it's been a year and a half, 2 years ago. Yeah, and they came back and they did a whole tour and everything.
During your hiatus.
Yeah, it might have been.
So.
I don't remember.
Okay, then. Well, continue on, I guess.
So, anywho, but yeah, so that's when I discovered them. I could be in the oddball here, but I always preferred Creed over Alter Bridge. Not that I disliked Alter Bridge, it wasn't a band that I went out and bought their albums or did anything like that.
The stuff I have to say about this album might be able to kind of parallel with your ideas regarding them, I think. Maybe.
We shall see. So for this album, because I've never listened to a full album of theirs before, I've only heard songs, I was able to go into it with a nice open mind.
Yeah.
And as I was listening to this album, all I could think, especially as I got towards the end of it, because then you virtually heard the whole album, was this feels like a filler album. And what I mean by that is it feels like an album full of filler songs to me. Like there wasn't a single song on this album that stood out to me that I was like, man, this is a great song. But there also wasn't any songs like, this is terrible.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, actually.
They were all okay, like average. Like this was probably the most average album I've ever heard in my life. For me personally, I'm sure people out there will completely disagree with me, but to me, it was average. Like there was nothing super memorable about it. I mean, there was a couple decent things that went on at times, but like overall, nothing blew me away. Like the last song on the album it seems to be a trend lately. Way too long. Could have been 3 minutes shorter. At least. But so it wasn't a great album, but it wasn't a bad album. So for me, I gave it basically a 2.5 out of 5, dead in the middle.
Wouldn't dead in the middle be like 3 out of 5?
No, that would be 3 out of 6 would be dead in the middle.
Fair.
Yeah, half of it.
Okay.
Half of it. So yeah. For me, it was about as average can get, and I don't mean that in a good way or a bad way. I mean it literally, and
what he means
in
is
an
3
average way.
What he means 3 out of 5. Don't change a thing. Well,
2 out of 5.
2.5 out of 5.
2.5 out of 5. Don't change a thing, except maybe not so average stuff.
Yeah, I've heard worse albums, but I've definitely heard better too.
Yeah.
All right, so for me, I've heard of Alter Bridge before. I cannot remember for the life of me exactly when I first heard them. It was, I don't know, it was like 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. Literally only listened to one song by them for this album, and that's when I first discovered them. It was Metalingus was the song that I first heard. I know that song came in like the mid 2000s on an album, but it was like that was the first song that I had heard from them. The song was good, but I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. They sounded okay. They like you said, just it all sounds kind of average. When you get into this album, there were parts of it that were, I don't know, like kind of stood out, but kind of didn't stand out. I mean, you hit the nail on the head perfectly there, Doppler. It's just an average album. A lot of things kind of just sounded the same to me within the album. I mean, there were some slight subtle differences, but other than that, most of the songs kind of all just felt like the album felt like one gigantic song rather than.
You bring up a good point that I forgot to mention, and another reason why I felt like it was average is that for the most part, a lot of the songs sounded the same.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I mean, with that in mind, I gave it a 2 out of 5. I mean, it wasn't extremely terrible. It wasn't extremely good. It was just kind of average, and I mean, I probably would have given it a little bit of a higher score if the songs kind of like didn't all sound the same. But yeah, maybe in the future we might get something better from them, but currently I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So I first came across Alter Bridge. Honestly, I couldn't fucking tell you. I really don't know. They kind of just came out of the woodworks for me, and I had heard something from them, and I'm like, oh, sounds kind of interesting. Vocalist's fucking good, but interesting. Until I was later discovered that it was all former members of instrumentally all former members of Creed, and I'm like, oh, well, that explains why it sounds pretty decent. And so, but nothing stood out ginormously. It was just sounded good. What it was. Never went out of my way to listen to anything just because they did kind of come across just that average kind of heavy hard rock thing going. They were kind of like, whenever they came out, it was like similar to whenever Daughtry came out and had his thing going on. It was just kind of like one of those.
That's actually a good comparison. I would say that they're, in terms of what they do, is pretty similar.
Let me make something clear though. Daughtry's first album. Every album after that sucked in my opinion, but that's also because Daughtry got softened and watered down. But yeah, so it was a good jam, but it was something that like you'd have in your loop on your own little radio thing. But so whenever we kind of started looking at the singles from them, and then I was like, we were hearing them, I'm like, wow, not bad, nothing crazy special, but pretty damn good, especially in this day and age, to be honest. So went into the album, started up, and immediately I went, wow, that's fucking good. And I say that in the most unfortunate aspect, because whenever I go into these albums, especially these days, I go into it from the perspective of a mix engineer. Where did they do right? What did the engineer do to kind of make this album enjoyable for the masses? Am I going to be able to pick anything out that's fascinating? And the main thing I noticed that has been so missing for the past almost 10, 15 years. Well, no, more like about 10 years, I'd say. I'll be generous. I'm like, holy shit, there's an engineer that's not afraid of low end. Oh, I don't hear that anymore. And so I was just listening, and I'm like, damn, this album kicks some ass. Like, I didn't pay attention to the lyrics just because I don't typically do that really much anymore. But, like, for what I did understand, it was well done. And Miles Kennedy is an astounding vocalist. Just, he's great for what he does. That being said, here's also where my problem lies with Alter Bridge. I think Miles' vocals and his range is not necessarily suited for what Alter Bridge, former Creed, is doing.
I would agree with that. He does have an amazing voice, but it feels like he would be better suited for like
Heavy
old
metal,
school
power
heavy
metal.
metal or power metal. Yep.
Yeah, like he
Yeah.
has an astounding voice, but it's not doing justice in like Creed 2, basically. Because like there was one fucking track. Shit, you know what? I got the track listings, which I typically do. Tested Enable. That's what it was. Fucking Tested Enable. That thing came on and it was a heavy hitter. I'm like, damn, this is gonna be good. And then Miles' voice came in, and all of a sudden they strung into this heavy hard rock variation of some pop filling thing, and I'm like, this did not go the way I thought it was gonna go. This is quite disappointing. So it's like they had a nice heavy hitter, and then all of a sudden they switched it up for Miles' octave and vocal style. So I was quite
What a Whitechapel teased you at the beginning and then went off the rails.
basically. I wasn't. I was kind of disappointed by that, but even then, for what it really wasn't bad. So I'm like, okay, there was a track that I skipped on here, and because it was just every fucking hard rock group has done this since the dawn of the millennia, and that is have one soft piece and bite me for it. I skipped it because I don't care to hear. So there was one track I did skip. But aside from that, I greatly enjoyed the instrumental. Thought it was absolutely phenomenal. Did it change much? Hell no, it didn't. Like there were some tracks where the writing varied a little bit, but overall it followed the same kind of function, basically. Formula. Yeah. So nothing, of course, like Doppler and Frosty said, didn't really stand out, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't still a good groove that I was just kind of enjoying. So my score, unfortunately, is it's kind of based off of also my enjoyment from what's been put out in recent years. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5 because finally some engineer discovered there's a button to not screw up low end on the mix board, and it's like they took that bass sound and they brought it to life. The drums, they were sample augmented. That's fine. Like I get it's gonna happen. Either they were full on samples or they were sample augmented. Either way, it did well. And Mark Tremonti is a wonderful guitarist and musician, and he did what he does well. And even though Miles' vocals, in my opinion, don't fit with Alter Bridge or Creed 2, I'm just gonna go ahead and call it. it still sounded good for what it was doing. So I felt this was average to a little better than average, just because again the production value impressed the shit out of me. So unfortunately, yeah, it was production that caused this to go up, caused my rating to be higher than everyone else's. But in the current state of hard rock and metal, that's pretty pathetic that I give an album a higher rating because someone figured out that you can have low end in a hard rock piece. Really pathetic, but such is the way these days. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Would I buy it? No. I'm not going to buy it, but I would happily listen to it if it's going on in the background, and I would not be disappointed. So I will I guess we'll leave this review at that. Thank you everyone for watching, and until next time, whether musically, lyrically, or literally, keep rolling heavy.